You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor. Join the party, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you want to support every single episode, hit the like button. Getting close to 20,000 subscribers, less than 200 away. So if you're a podcast listener and you want to help out the show, head over to YouTube, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button as well. And my name is Doug McCain. Friends call me DMAC. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 Sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation, the LA Sports Report. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. I'm flying solo today. The People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, will be back tomorrow. But we've got a jam-packed show. We've got our big takeaways from the Rams' Week 7 win over the Jags. We've got our winners and losers for the week, the game balls. But first, today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. So go play that, your first $5 lineup. You'll get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup over at Prize Picks. All right, let's get into it. The Rams, a pretty dominating win. The third quarter wasn't great. Third down wasn't great either, but they end up with a convincing win over the Jags. And I think the big story, the number one takeaway, big picture, small picture, is that Matthew Stafford is playing like an MVP candidate. And whether or not he wins MVP, that's pretty much irrelevant. I mean, it'd be great to see. I would love to see it. He's only had one MVP vote throughout his career, but he does lead the league with 17 touchdowns. He's top 3 in yards, and he's just been great. And something about Matthew Stafford at this stage of his career where everyone kind of wrote him off as a guy that was going to deal with a back injury, as a guy that is not going to be at his best still. The truth is, I mean, the dude's 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. His QBR at 66 is 10th, 1,866 yards. That's third. So we are talking about really, really good numbers for a quarterback that the narrative surrounding him heading into this season was that the back issue was going to be a reason why his career might get derailed. And not only has he been good, he's been the best version of himself. And I think what Matthew Stafford did in Week 7 is he proved that not only does he still have it, he proved that whatever weapons you give him, he's going to make the most of them. And we know Davante Adams, he said after the game, he still is a 1A type of receiver. And the one word that Davante Adams used to describe Matthew Stafford was that he was a killer. And that certainly was that. I mean, you look at, too, just the exclusive list of NFL quarterbacks that have done the things that Matthew Stafford has done. And even this year, it's mind-boggling that he could go down, really, I mean, as the best Rams quarterback ever. Yes, Kurt Warner, certainly in that mix, and we know what triumphs he's had for this organization. But you look at Matthew Stafford, he joined an interesting list, too. He became only the 4th quarterback in the Super Bowl era to throw 5 touchdown passes with fewer than 200 passing yards. The others are Jameis Winston. He did in 2021 for the Saints. Lamar Jackson in 2019 for the Ravens. Boomer Esiason did it for the Bengals in 1989. It's a weird list. It really is. But it also says that this is a guy that you can trust in the red zone to make plays if you give him opportunities. And I think when you look at the accuracy, the no-look passes, just the pretty balls that he throws, and he is able to have a lot of success against the blitz, too. He threw all 5 of those touchdown passes were against the blitz. It was a season-high 55.9% blitz percentage from Jacksonville, and even in the face of that pressure, he was still out there executing throws to perfection. And with Matthew Stafford, he spread the ball out. 10 different receivers. 10 different receivers, but the most important one was Davante Adams. I would argue the second was Terrence Ferguson, which we'll talk about later in this show. But Davante Adams catches 3 touchdown passes. After 0 catches on his first 2 targets, it looked like, oh, this is going to be more of the same. These guys can't get on the same page. And then they connect in the end zone for the first time, and then a second time, and then a third time. Really nice job. Some short fades, back of the end zone, the no-look pass, and Adams only had 35 yards receiving on the day, but it is what he can do in the red zone that I think stands out. And Adams has led the NFL in end zone targets. So that is something that they had tried to do, and they're trying to make happen, and they did. They were successful at it. So I said leading into this game that it was going to be a silver lining. I said it on this show that it's going to be a silver lining because other guys, namely Davante Adams, were going to get their opportunity to shine, and they made the most of that performance. And I do think we're going to circle this game when Davante Adams is more comfortable in this offense, when Matthew Stafford's connecting with him more, as the game where they took a big step forward in their chemistry this season. And just kind of getting back to Matthew Stafford, it was the first time that he threw 5 touchdown passes in a game since 2015. It was the first time a quarterback had thrown 5 touchdowns in an international game. What I say that, hey, London was calling and Matthew Stafford certainly picked up and he answered the call. And for Stafford, he's someone that the fact that you are going up against an NFL team in the Jags, that their main calling card this season as a defense was the ability to create turnovers. They led the league in turnovers created heading into this one with 14 after causing just 9 last season. And Matthew Stafford was still efficient. He did not have throws that led to turnovers or anything like that. So I think if you're a Rams fan, you're looking at this and saying, hey, what was the number one biggest question that you had entering the season? That was, 1, is Matthew Stafford healthy enough to play that position at a high level? And 2, is Father of Time catching up to him? And the question emphatically to both those, the answer to both those questions emphatically is no. Father Time, hey, he is not even showing up on the doorstep yet. He's not even knocking yet because he's still playing at a fantastic, magical level. And then the back looks like it's fine as well. So that, to me, makes me even more confident about this team's progress, and I certainly believe he deserves some MVP consideration. Second big takeaway is you look at the defense, and the defense, like they've done all season, they perform when they need to. And the first half against the Jaguars, they continue to show what they can do when they just impose their will on an opponent. And they were making plays on 4th down. The Jags were 2 for 6 on 4th down. 2 of those 4 stops came in the red zone. The other 2 were when they were in scoring distance, so they were massive. And if the Jaguars are able to score in those possessions, if the Jags were doing that, the Jaguars, they were able to convert, you're looking at a closer game. And this is a Rams defense that has looked shaky occasionally, but overall, the way they can perform when they need to perform is what impresses you the most. The sacks in big spots, the turnovers, the interceptions, the Nate Landman peanut punch. In this one game, you had a turnover created by Lake. And also, too, look at some of the deeper cuts in this one, like a Braden Fisk. I was very impressed just rewatching the game, looking at Braden Fisk, because I've heard it out there. I've seen on the X. I've seen on social media, Braden Fisk is having a sophomore slump. Braden Fisk is not as good as people think he is. Well, Braden Fisk, I'm pretty sure that he's seeing that, and he's probably using it as fuel, because didn't have a sack, but that pressure on 4th and 7 that led to Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball away was massive. He finished the day with 8 pressures, and that was huge. I mean, that was just massive. And look, sacks are big. Sacks are great. We understand that. But in the big 2025 Q4, getting consistent pressure is going to result in sacks. And I think for him, he's looking to get 100% healthy too. So that was a big game for Braden Fisk. It really was. And I think too, another guy that stood out was Darius Williams. Darius Williams has had an up and down season, to say the least, going up against his former team. There was definitely some revenge factor there. And that was his story, right? He left the Rams to go with the Jags. He got paid. And then wasn't great, right? I mean, 4 picks in 2023, which is solid, right? And the Rams, they end up bringing him back because they know him well, and he knows them well. He was on the bench to start this year. But with the injury to Akella Witherspoon and the fact that he's played very well over the last couple of weeks, Darius Williams, he followed up with his best game of the season. He did have a penalty, but he also had 4 pass breakups. He was credited with one dropped interception, but look, he could have had 2 interceptions in this one. I mean, this was one of those games where the Rams need to see some production from their cornerback to kind of, I think, dictate whether or not they get aggressive and if they're active at the trade deadline at that position. But Darius Williams certainly showed out. He gives you a lot of confidence at that position right now. I think Cam Kinchins, I mean, he was great. I mean, he really was. I mean, as a safety, the dude was just everywhere. I mean, he was everywhere on the field for the Rams. And then Quinn Lake had his first sack of the season, had a pass breakup on 3rd down. He's someone that's continued to emerge. He's been making plays every single week. I mean, I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler at this point. So it's not just the front 4. It's not just the edge rushers for this team that are making plays. And I know pretty much every show is going to start with the big guys on defense, but I kind of wanted to shine a light on some of these other Rams defensive players that really give you a good idea of how complete this defense can be. And it was another impressive day for them. And coming up next, we've got PFF grades, we got winners and losers. And Sean McVay takes a lot of heat, but McVay, he definitely had himself a week against the Jags. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's sad. Software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance, all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos your software created. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and perfectly in sync. It's seriously simple to use and gives companies one source of truth for their people, data, and everything they touch. Whether you want to run your entire HR, IT, and finance operations as one, or just fill the gaps in your software stack, Rippling can do it all. And right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. Learn more at rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. That's rippling.com/LockedOnNFL for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. This episode of Locked On Rams brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley for a rushing touchdown, and you are in the game. I love how quick it is. Prize Picks is awesome. You can make your lineup in under a minute. My favorite part, too, Prize Picks just added stacks. So if you want to ride with a player, I can select their pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. It's also fun to allow other players in the app and follow them and copy their lineups with one click. And the new injury reboot feature, this is great. If your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. Also, there's a special max discount promotion live on the board right now for the Golden State Warriors versus the Los Angeles Lakers on the game on October 21st, and Steph Curry is discounted to only needing more than half a point to win. So you're basically guaranteed, unless he gets injured like the first play of the game, and even then you got the injury reboot, all right, and you're definitely guaranteed to win there. So you can mix and match on players from football, basketball, and baseball to build your dream lineup today. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Also want to give a big shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough. You guys are what make this show go. And if you are new to the show, join that Everyday Listeners Club. That's where you watch or listen to every single episode we drop, and then you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. Okay, here in our second segment, we're going to continue with our big takeaways. And what did I say on the squad show? No Puka, no problem. And we know that Puka Nacua is irreplaceable in this offense. He is one of the best 5 receivers in the NFL, and he's definitely not 5. But this was a day of growth for the Rams receivers. 10 different receivers caught a pass. That was the first time a Rams quarterback had found 10 receivers in a game that have caught a pass since Nick Foles. Yes, Nick Foles, the dude who has a statue in Philly, did it for the Rams in 2015. And it's not just that a lot of different guys caught passes, it's who caught those passes and what they meant as far as just the overall context of this offense. Terrence Ferguson had his first touchdown catch of his career. Is this the start of something big for him? I think a sub takeaway is Tyler Higbee. If you look at some of those third down numbers, they're a little skewed because he had some big drops. And Tyler Higbee is a guy who I think ultimately, yes, Terrence Ferguson can't block like Tyler Higbee, and he's definitely going to have to show the ability to improve that part of his game to stick long term. But I think you weigh the good with the bad, and I think you could see Parkinson, you could see Davis Allen, and Terrence Ferguson is a guy who gets some opportunities on the seam like he did when he caught his first touchdown, 31-yard pass by Matthew Stafford, a great route, great feel. Ferguson's got it. And if you don't use him, that's a major mistake. So I think that's huge. And then I mentioned Colby Parkinson. I mean, if I asked you which Rams player led them receiving yards, you'd probably be shocked that I told you it was Colby Parkinson. I've been tough on him on this show just because I don't feel like he's lived up to that $22.5 million contract. Having said that, though, he did some nice things. He almost scored a touchdown himself. His knee was down right towards the line, and then Devontae ends up getting it. But the entire offense stepped up. Mumfield got his first career touchdown. Ferguson got his first career touchdown. It was Oprah. You get a touchdown. No, you get a touchdown. No, you get a touchdown. And then you had, of course, Devontae with the 3, but you had different guys making catches, and they were 4 for 4 in the red zone. And that is what we want to see. That's the one thing that holds this offense back is the inability to convert. And when you can trust more targets in the red zone, and you're not just force-feeding the ball to Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams, and you're working it and mixing in a tight end, then your red zone efficiency rate is going to increase. So let's hope that that's a sign of things to come. So great job from an offense to step up with their best player out to have really their best offensive performance of the year. Give credit to everyone. This was a team win. You love to see that. Next big takeaway. Let's fill out those Sean McVay apology forms for everyone that was criticizing him lately, because I think this is one of the best Sean McVay coach games in quite some time. You're shorthanded, you're without Puka Nacua, and you found a way to step up and make plays. And we looked at this team, and one of the big questions was, would you see 12 personnel? Well, we didn't only see that. We saw 13 personnel. And I think that this is just a great reminder that, let's not forget, Sean McVay, he's hung his hat on his career at being one of the best offensive minds in the sport, making 11 personnel as known as it's become. And you were able to use those groupings to create mismatches, to create space, and we saw that throughout this game. And we saw last year when Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp were out against the 49ers, you saw the Rams use more 12 personnel, and they ultimately won that game. I mean, we've seen a lot of different creative things from Sean McVay. Back in 2021, when the Rams were missing a handful of guys because of COVID restrictions, we saw jumbo sets and 6 offensive linemen and different packages to take advantage of the players they did have available. And what was so remarkable about this is that the Rams end up using 13 personnel 38.7% of the time. 3 of the Rams' touchdowns came with 13 personnel. So, I mean, you're talking about a very different outlook, for this team, because not 1, not 2, but 3 tight ends, and you got 1 wide receiver and 1 running back in the offensive line, and you're still able to go out there and create those mismatches. And just to give you an idea how rare 13 personnel has been for the Rams offense, for the last 3 seasons, you've used 13 personnel 6 times, and you were able to use it 38.7% of the time in this game, and it led to 3 touchdowns. So give Sean McVay a ton of credit, opening things up, and that's just why he's such a great football coach. And like I said in the preview show, that this was going to be an opportunity to have Sean McVay let the NFL world, let his critics know, let Rams fans know, I'm still that guy. I'm still that head coach who, look, I've said it before on the show and I'll say it again. If you were going to have a draft of head coaches and let general managers draft which head coach they wanted on their team, I firmly believe that Sean McVay is the number 1 pick. And this past Sunday in London was another example as to why. The dude lives for a challenge. Oh, no Puka? All right, let's see what I'm going to do. And he made a game plan that was impossible for Liam Cohen to game plan for, right? Hey, it's definitely master. He's the sensei, right? It was definitely that today. I mean, it was that for him on this one. So give him credit. He definitely stepped up in a massive, massive way. That was a Sean McVay win, and I guarantee you that flight home to London, he said, hey, don't forget. If I got to remind you, I will. But don't forget the kind of play caller, the kind of offensive mind I am, and that they have a lot in their bag that they can go to, and the players allow them to do that. So I'm really excited because I hope that this keeps opposing defenses on their heels for the rest of the season, because they have options. And this past Sunday was an example of that. But coming up next, we've got winners and losers, PFF grades, some surprising ones that are very interesting, and what we learned about this Rams team that is going to help them win the Super Bowl. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathe work, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love FanDuel. I use it almost every day, it feels like, and I love how FanDuel just gives you so many ways to play. I mean, I build parlays, I've tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. So when I'm playing FanDuel, I'm always staying locked into stats, and it really helps you lock into the numbers, and that's something you guys know I love to do here. It makes watching football even more exciting, too, when you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, so let's look at some of these PFF grades. The first one that surprises you is Matthew Stafford earned a 78.8 PFF grade. And I look at that and say, how many turnover-worthy plays did he have? Well, he had 0, had 3 big-time throws, and he had an adjusted completion rate of 69.7%. So, yeah, you look at that. I mean, you know that he can throw for big yards, right? I mean, sub 200 passing yards, but we know the field, no Puka, 2-2 was limited. So, I mean, I look at that and say, okay, I look at the red zone production, and is that because he's becoming less accurate, or is it because Puka Nacua has been out and 2-2's limited? I think it's more a byproduct of that. But look at the PFF grade for Devontae Adams. He ends up with a 91.3. Wasn't his best day from a receiving yard standpoint with only 35, but he did catch 3 touchdowns. He caught 5 of the 8 passes that were thrown his way, so that's definitely massive because entering Sunday's game against the Jags, that catch rate was sub 50%, and he was someone that was dropping too many footballs, and he was definitely trending lower on that list. So that definitely is massive. He also won 2 of 3 contested catch opportunities, had 0 drops. He was at over 10% through the first 6 games. So he had his best game, obviously, as a Ram, and I'm expecting more from him. Terrence Ferguson, a 71.1 grade, and he had his first touchdown. It was a 31-yard catch. But for everyone saying he can't block, I bring my facts to the fight, and they tell me he had a run blocking grade of 76.8 on 16 run plays. So there's this narrative building, and trust me, this happens in football, especially with shows. One person says somewhere, and they're like, oh, that must be true. I'm going to say it here. Always do your research. See what it says. And if this is Sean McVay's feeling, fine. But go back and watch the game. And has his inability to block kept him from getting more snaps? It's possible. But the fact that he's out there and the effort is there, it looks like he's capable of doing it. I think that you're going to see less Tyler Higbee and more Terrence Ferguson as the season progresses, and for good reason. And I think that's definitely it. Kevin Dotson had a 70.1 PFF grade. Defense, the top one, we've talked about him. We've been kind of glazing him a little bit. Darius Williams, an 84.4 PFF grade. And that was massive, too, an 86.3 coverage grade. They targeted him 6 times. He gave just 1 reception for 6 yards, and he had 4 pass breakups. He held the opposing quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, who has way too commercials for a guy that produces like he does, at a 39.6 QB rating. So that was massive. I mean, that's a huge development. Even Forbes was solid, too, a 75.1 PFF grade. Cam Kitchen, 78.5. Omar Spades had a 72.3. So definitely some good ones in there for sure. But we're going to break down some more tomorrow. But real quick, what do we learn about the Rams that's so important? We learned that this is not the Los Angeles Pukas. And it's not just the Los Angeles Staffords. This feels like the most complete Rams team that we've seen in a long time. And it's because last year it was Cooper Kupp. it's a massive drop-off to what Puka Nacua is bringing. This year, you have no Puka for one game. In that very first game, without him, 3 touchdowns for Devontae Adams and a PFF grade of over 90. And tight ends making plays with Terrence Ferguson and Colby Parkinson. And the defense continuing to emerge. We learned on Sunday that this is not as top-heavy of a roster that a lot of people thought it was or have been saying it is. The truth is there's depth on the Rams roster. There's guys that contribute down in the roster, and the Rams are really good at scouting, developing, and getting guys to contribute and make plays. So my big concern about this Rams team was, if Puka's out, can they win games? Can they still compete? The answer is yes. And it's massive. It truly is. So I could not be more thrilled about this Rams team heading into the bye. They could be a 7-0 team. They could be the best team in the NFL in most people's eyes. I like the fact that they have someone that can burn them and give them some fuel heading to the rest of the season. You got some big games coming up too. San Francisco still winning games despite their onslaught of injuries. But this is a Rams team that's in a really, really good position right now. They really are. This is the best I've felt about this Rams team since the 2021 Super Bowl season. I still think they're going to make some calls, see what's available at the trade deadline. If there's a move that they think can improve this roster, would not be shocked if they did it. Quite frankly, I think they should do it no matter what, just because you still got an elite quarterback and you want to take advantage and capitalize on this group. But Ramley, enjoy the bye week, and we're going to be doing shows all weekend next week, of course. But great win up in London, and a great way to enter that bye week. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, hit the like button for your Los Angeles Rams. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.